Hey folks, it's Debbie here. Welcome to Lead Your Life with Debbie Heiser. This is a space where we can come together to reconnect with purpose, passion, and powerful work that you're meant to do. So today we're going to dive into three things that you absolutely need to love about your work or your business. I'm talking specifically to entrepreneurs today, but this also works for those of you that have a W-2 job. Because here's the deal. When we shift how we think about these three areas, everything changes. So grab your cup of coffee or your tennis shoes and let's listen in. Welcome to Lead Your Life, the podcast for people who are seeking harmony in business and in life. My name is Debbie Heiser, and I'm an inner mastery and business mindset coach and the chief igniter here at The Lit Up Life. I feel an urgency to help people let go of past messaging so that they can make a lot of money doing what they love without sacrificing what they value most. Welcome. We're glad you're here.
Straight from the corners of my mind is where I find my sanity.
Hey friends, welcome back to Lead Your Life with Debbie Heiser. I am Debbie Heiser, your host, and today's episode is one I think every entrepreneur, leader, and heart-centered go-getter really needs to hear. And the reason being is we're talking about three things that you need to love about your business. And here's the deal. It's not just for people that own a business, but also if you're in a vocation or a job. So these three things you need to love. And spoiler alert, they're not all the glamorous parts either. But when you learn to embrace each of these three things with clarity and intention, you step into a whole new level of alignment. And when we're aligned, we're in flow. And in flow means peace and flexibility and wholeness. So before we get rolling, I do want to throw out there and invite you to join me this October for the Cast Your Vision retreat in gorgeous Sandpoint, Idaho, where I live. And if you've been feeling the pull to step away from the noise, reconnect to your own why, and craft a future that actually feels like it's yours, then this retreat is for you. We call it Cast Your Vision because we'll spend time casting a vision for your life, creating a strategy, and then nurturing this next level self that you need to be in community with other incredible women to step into that future. So you can find the link to register in the show notes. And trust me, this is something you don't want to put off. This retreat is intimate, it's powerful, and it's intentionally designed to light you up from the inside out. So let's get back to what we're going to talk about in this episode and get back to business. And let's talk about how to fall in love with your business all over again. I talk to so many people in business or in a job that they've just kind of gotten into this routine and they're kind of apathetic. And that vibration is a really low vibration. So here's the thing. Owning your own business and being in a job. So those of you in a job, I'm not going to keep vacillating back and forth between the two, but just kind of integrate it because it holds true for both. So owning your own business, it's not just about selling something or following a passion. I talk to a lot of clients that they want to get into something that they're passionate about. Years ago, I loved NASCAR racing. Some people are like, what? You like to watch these cars go around in a circle? There's so much strategy in it. But before I digress too much, my then husband was like, well, why don't you get a job in NASCAR? And I'm like, because it's a passion of mine, but I don't want it to turn into work, right? So when you think about owning your own business, it's really about a relationship. And like all good relationships, it thrives when there's this mutual love, attention, and care for it. So I've mentioned these three things again, but here's the three core areas where that love really needs to live and grow. First of all, loving your dream. What's your why behind it? And we're going to go in more detail with this. The second is love what you provide. What's your product or service? And then loving the business of the business. So that one tends to catch people. And we're going to go further into that here in a second. But I want to dig into each of these. And, again, if you're a leader in an organization or you're an employee of an organization, this holds true for you too. Just shift the verbiage for yourself. So, when you first got the nudge to start your business, it probably wasn't because you wanted to run reports or do social media or learn SEO optimization. Not at all, right? Like you felt a pull, you felt a calling. There's a bigger yes that told you this work matters. But over time, life happens, business gets busy, and you lose touch with the fire that lit you up in the first place. So let me tell you a story. I initially wanted to go into business to have freedom. And actually, originally, I did it as a side gig because I wanted to bring in a little bit of extra income. And so in when I think about then as it continued to grow and develop, I wanted this freedom because even in my corporate job, I had flexibility. So part of the dream for me was to keep this flexibility going on, right? Like heading to the park to hang out with my grandson in the summer for a couple of hours when his preschool class goes there on a Wednesday. Skiing in the winter, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays in the morning. Those are all things that I choose to do, and I'm able to do them because I'm able to create my own schedule. Now, sometimes that gets in my way too, right? But because I create stuff that then I'm super busy or whatever, and I didn't want to be that busy, but I get into that mode. So it has both sides, that law of polarity. Along with this, I really wanted to make a good living. And as a single person, I wanted to make a good living helping other people and not just helping them, but helping them lead their own lit up lives because life is too short not to be lit up and enjoying it. And I revisit this why numerous times throughout the year because I want to make sure I'm tapped into why I'm doing what I'm doing. And as an example, part of this tapping in last summer, I was in this mode of big growth, like quantum leap growth. I wanted to have numerous coaches that were coaching for me. I wanted to have numerous masterminds that were going on. We all would meet in a really cool place. These coaches would do the individual coaching groups. I would be on a main stage talking to the whole group. There would be networking going on. I would stop into the smaller groups to do some teaching. And then I realized I wasn't leading my own lit up life and I could still have the end result that I wanted just staying in a smaller container. Now it doesn't make me small. I mean, I'm doing retreats, I'm doing masterminds, all sorts of things. But for me, I shifted that vision because my why wasn't being filled. And who knows, eventually I might go back to that vision. But at the time, I was trying to go to 0 to 100 in 2 seconds, and I wasn't able to make that shift as quickly. So when I think about that, that's just a good example of why I had to revisit my own why, because it's my compass and it becomes your compass as well. So there's a couple of things I want to provide to you in this podcast. And some of this is about some actions that you can take and some shifts that might need to take place for you. So I mentioned a compass, right? Your why is not a one-time discovery. I think about a client that I had years ago who their original thought for opening up this kind of Whole Foods type of store in the town that I live in was because his son was celiac. And at that time, there weren't a lot of options. And that was his why. Well, now that why has changed over time. So it's good to revisit it. And it's good to revisit that why even on a daily basis, a monthly basis, however you do your planning, because when things get hard, when you start to go into imposter syndrome, you doubt some of your own abilities. When you're in between client calls and tax paperwork, we have to come back to this question. Why did I start this to begin with? What am I building? What's the legacy? What do I want out of this? What is my why? Right? So revisit that. Now, something that I love to do is have vision boards, and you can create this why wall or a vision reminder. Next to me is a wall of all of my mastermind clients. I have a vision board up there. I have some of the things that are really important to me, a picture of me and one of my grandsons as a reminder why I'm doing what I'm doing. So you can do this in a journal. You could do post-it notes on your wall. You can do photos of your family, testimonials from clients, whatever those reasons are that connect you back to this emotional truth of your dream and put it somewhere visible. Right across from me, I have a picture of the gals I mastermind with underneath the Eiffel Tower as a reminder, and use it as an anchor for yourself day to day. Now, here's a bonus. I have done this before where I record a voice memo talking about my mission, my why behind it, and what my big rock juicy goals are, because then you can go back and listen to it. And I do it daily, right? To listen to yourself describe your vision in detail and listen to it as you want to, listen as you remember who you are and why you started, if you're feeling low, whatever the case would be. Just have it available so that you can use it as a tool. So, the second one we're going to go into here in just a minute, but we're going to take a quick break. So, love your why, understand that why, and when we come back, we'll talk more about your product or service. I want to give a quick shout out to my favorite online community for women entrepreneurs. It's called Build Her. If you've craved a space to connect with other women who truly get the journey, this is your space. We go live monthly for in-depth training on all things business, and it's where you'll get the latest news from the lit up life first. Plus a chance to swap stories, tips, and triumphs with an amazing community of women. It's welcoming, it's fun, and it's where we cheer each other on through every up and down of entrepreneurship. Join us and let's build each other up. Check it out at thelituplife.com/buildher. Okay, folks, we're back. Understanding your why, keeping it visible in front of you, revisiting it to make sure it's still your why is important. The second piece of this is loving what you offer. What is it that you provide? What product do you have? What services do you do? And your products or services aren't just a thing that you put on your website. It's really a reflection of your spiritual DNA, of the gifts you were given, your values, and your ability to make someone's life better. And yet I see it all the time. I see clients apologizing for their prices. I see them minimizing their brilliance and feeling awkward about being visible about it. And I want to clear this up right now. If you don't love what you sell, it shows. And if you do love it, it transforms how you show up. And let me give you an example. I want you to think about the last time you shared a favorite book or your favorite restaurant with a friend. You didn't hesitate to share it. You weren't worried about what they'd think of you. You were excited about it. And that's the energy we want around what you're offering. And the only way you can do that is if you love what you're doing. And if you think about the fact that you are offering up people more life, what you do allows them to have more life. When I work with body workers or massage therapists, what they do is providing for that person to physically be healthy so that they can step into their calling. When I talk to coaches, myself included, I'm providing more life. I'm actually helping people lead a lit up life and have more energy, have more happiness, peace, whatever it is that they want, right? So think about what you provide and how that provides more life. And this kind of goes into this idea that you might have to do a mindset shift because I tell people I want to hear how you show up in the world serving, right? And so not just what you do, but how are you serving people? Because really it's about inviting people in. And if you're curious about this, I talk a lot about soulful selling, and there's a class that you can take, a 2-hour workshop, and a class that I did with an actual client demo, or she's not a client yet, but someone that I actually demoed a sales call with, because it's really about selling from your soul. And if you think about your offer as this ability to provide more life, it's really then a pathway to transformation. And it deserves to be talked about. It deserves to be celebrated and shared. And again, we just get these subconscious messages that that's not okay. That's not humble. But frankly, if someone is in need of my service, it's like someone showing up to an ER room and the ER dismissing them and not helping them. If I have something that can help someone, why wouldn't I talk to them about it? And so think again and answer that question. How do you help people have more life? So some additional questions to think about is, what do you love most about transformation that you help people experience? If you're a leader in an organization, how have you helped people transform the way they lead, the way they lead their own life, the way they take accountability for things? Then ask yourself, what lights you up when you deliver your service or your product? I will tell you, for me, it's when I see that client have belief in themselves, when they own it, when they go forward in confidence and they believe. Then ask yourself, how would you describe this offer to someone that you adore and that you really want to help? without being afraid of being judged. That's what I see happen a lot of times. So I tell people to write it out, right? Write out your answers to those questions and use them as a way to help yourself put together what it is that you actually provide for people, because that's a soul-led invitation. So here's kind of a bonus. If something about your offer doesn't feel aligned, give yourself permission to refine it, because a lit up business evolves over time. I didn't provide masterminds until 2.5 years ago. And you're allowed to pivot with what you do. I used to offer a May retreat and an October retreat, where now I'm only doing an October retreat. So pivot as you need to. You're not stuck in a frame that you can only, like, it's not cement. You can change it. Now, the third part of this is loving the business of the business. This is those structures, the systems, the selling, and the stuff that a lot of business owners that I talk to would rather ignore. So take a deep breath, because I don't want you to dread this. If you think about accounting, you think about marketing, you think about selling, you think about operations, legal, and systems, you might go, ugh. But hear me out on this. These aren't burdens. And I want you to think about a mind shift here. They're really containers for your magic. They're the bones of your business body, and they allow your heart, they allow what you do to keep going, to keep beating. So I like to think of it like this: the structure creates the freedom. Now, I will tell you that has not always been my MO, and my marketing guru, Meredith, can tell you that, because I pushed back so many times. We have a big marketing spreadsheet because we have multiple people doing things within the business around marketing and reaching out to people and connecting with people. And so we have the podcast listed. We have things that I train in both my Build Her group and with private clients and with the masterminds. And I fought for a long time going in and putting some structure about this into that spreadsheet. But here's what I will tell you: realizing I can change it. It's not set in stone. I did it with this podcast. I was going to talk about something completely different, and I changed it today before I got on and recorded. What happens is this then allows me, when I have inspiration hit, I can go through 2 or 3 months worth of content and just bullet point out kind of the subject that I want to talk about. And then it gives me more freedom to actually step into other things, because then I go back to that spreadsheet and I can see, oh, yeah, I was going to talk about this, but I'm not inspired about that right now. I'm going to change it. Or, oh, I have a private client call tomorrow and a mastermind call tomorrow that I'm teaching. What am I going to teach on? Oh, I've already figured that out. And it fits in with other things that I have for the month. So sometimes if you feel like you're being caged in because you're creating some structure, I want you to think about it actually as providing that framework to go do what you do better, right? So think about it in the mindset shift about seeing those pieces really as an act of devotion to your vision. I'm not, when I'm going out and adding mileage or I'm doing my taxes, I'm not just doing my taxes, I'm stewarding abundance. And when I'm planning content, I'm not just planning content, I'm building relationships with that. I'm not just managing systems, I'm protecting my own flexibility and peace. So shift your mind about what you're doing with that, because we got to love the business part of this too. And so I want you to think about one area that you potentially avoid. It might be finances, it might be content planning, whatever it is for you, and ask these 4 questions. What part of this can I simplify? Am I overcomplicating this? Can I outsource it or get support? I'm sure I could figure out how to make a landing page and add the payments piece to it and everything else, but I don't want to. It stops me in my tracks. So I outsource this. Can I give myself a set time window and a reward on the other side? I used to do this with my nieces when I would visit. We would do a dance party, and I now have a dance party button in my office where we would set a time frame to clean their rooms, and then we'd have a dance party, and then we'd go back and finish cleaning the room. So do something that allows a reward on the other side. And then I love this question. Ask, what would it take? What would it take for me to get my mileage all inputted? And again, Simplify it. Don't overcomplicate it. Now, one thing I like to do is have a date with my money. And I also like to have a CEO hour. And whether it's an hour a day, an hour a week, I look at what's happening during that week. And I don't want to spend too much time in my business, but I want to spend it on my business. But there are things that as entrepreneurs we need to do. So schedule some of that time to tend to the back end of your business. Light a candle, grab a cocktail, whatever it is, but make it a sacred space and not a stress zone for yourself. So I want you to pause for a second and think about these three areas. Your dream. Do you still feel connected to that dream and what your why is? If not, stop this recording and take some time in that. Secondly, your offer. Are you proud of what you share with the world? Are you proud of the products that you sell or the services that you provide to other people? And how does that help them with more life? And third, the business structure that you have. Are you tending to the foundation of your business? And then I want you to think about what's one tiny shift you could make today to show a little more love in one of these areas. And I would probably guess that it's around the business. And part of why I say one small thing is because small aligned actions create massive momentum over time. So again, you don't have to love every task in your business, but you do need to love the vision enough to care for all of those pieces, those three big major pieces. And when you fall in love with the whole business, not just the highlights, you build something sustainable, something that's soul-led and successful. And if you're craving really the space to get clear, to reconnect to your dream and set your next vision in motion with guidance and community, I'm going to plug this again. Join me this October at the Cast Your Vision Retreat in Sandpoint, Idaho, because we're going to work through the process of clarifying the goal. And it's a big, juicy goal, not just these like, I'm going to stop this or I'm going to lose pounds, because those are tasks. But we're going to create these juicy goals aligned with our values and map out the systems and the strategies to bring it to life. You'll leave grounded, focused, and really connected with other women. So, again, head to the link in the show notes to learn more about it to register. And don't wait if you're feeling the urge, because we're already half sold out and it's only July. And I'm recording this actually the first part of June. So I'd be honored to support you in stepping fully into your business and the life that you were meant to lead. So until next time, I'm Debbie Heiser. Keep leading your life, show up with an intention, love what you do, why you do it, and how it helps people show up with more life. And frankly, love the business part of it. With that, folks, it's a wrap. And we'll talk again here in a couple weeks. Thanks so much. Bye. That's a wrap for this conversation. I'm so glad you've joined us. Remember to subscribe to the podcast so you can catch all of our future episodes, and visit us at thelituplife.com for details on how you can become part of the Lit Up Life community. A quick shout out to my friend Jackie Wilson and her friends, the creators of our amazing theme music. Thanks so much for allowing us to share this perfect song with our listeners. Looking forward to having you listen in to our next episode.